Good evening, and welcome to a meeting of the Council of the City of Long Beach held Tuesday, June 4th, 2024 at 7 p.m. We'll have a roll call. Councilmember Bendo.
Present.
Councilmember Lester. Here. Councilmember Reinhardt.
Present.
Vice President Fiamara.
Present.
President Finn.
Present.
Let the record indicate the presence of City Manager Dan Creighton and Corporation Counsel Frank DeCranis. We'll now have a salute to the flag.
Place your hands over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ready to go? It's on. Our city manager is going to give the city manager's report, please.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming out tonight. In case you missed it, the City Council adopted a 0% tax increase budget at our last meeting by a 4-to-1 vote. I again want to thank the Council for their leadership and our department heads and unions for coming together to deliver for our residents. In today's inflationary environment, this relief is going to go a long way for our taxpayers. On other fronts, we had an excellent Memorial Day weekend. The city manager's 10-mile race went well, and there was a great turnout by the community to honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice for our country at the Memorial Day parade. The weather largely cooperated, and beach pass sales were up significantly compared to last year. As a note, we will be cracking down on many of the violations that seem to be pervasive recently in Ocean Beach Park. Specifically, dogs are not allowed on the beach or boardwalk. E-bikes and skateboards are not permitted on the boardwalk, and smoking of any sort, including marijuana, is not permitted on the beach or boardwalk. Please adhere to our rules as enforcement will be stepped up to address some of the quality of life complaints we've received from the residents. Council members were also joined by Congressman D'Esposito and Legislator Mullaney at a press conference with the Red Cross on the boardwalk to urge our residents to be prepared as we enter what is predicted to be a very busy hurricane season. I urge everyone to visit longbeachny.gov/LBReady to brush up on whatever steps they can take to make sure that they're ready for whatever the season may bring. Brought up at this Red Cross event was making sure you have a to-go pack ready in case you need to evacuate. Looking ahead, the city is partnering with Arts in the Plaza and Artists in Partnership to hold Friday nights in the Plaza this Friday in Kennedy Plaza from 5 to 9 p.m. Half Step will be there playing Grateful Dead tunes starting at 5:30 p.m. The plaza will also be packed with local artists selling their wares. We also ask that you please join the city and the Joint Veterans Organization for our Flag Day ceremony next Friday, the 14th. The ceremony will take place at 1:30 p.m. at Veterans Plaza in our rec complex. Lastly, a few public works updates. Last week, the city's contractor completed work on the complete reconstruction of the 200 block of East Market Street. New underground utilities, sidewalks, colonial lighting, and a freshly paved road were completed. It all looks very good, actually. For the residents on that street, I'm sure they're appreciative. We appreciate the patience of the residents during this lengthy project. It has been going on for quite a while. Starting tonight, city contractors will be doing overnight work to mill and repave Park Avenue between Riverside and Long Beach Boulevards. This is the final piece of the streetscape improvement project work that is taking place there for the past few months. If the weather cooperates, the repaving should be completed by Friday morning. We were originally planning this work for the fall, but I believe it is better to have this new paved roadway prior to our busy summer season. We will have lane closures, but we'll keep traffic moving, but there will be delays, so if you can use alternate routes, please use them if possible. Again, we know this project has been disruptive for residents and business owners, but we think the outcome is great, and the project really sets a tone for the Central Business District. So thank you to all the businesses for their patience and all the residents as well, while we make these critical and exciting investments into our community. With that, I'll conclude the city manager report.
Thank you, Dan. I would just like to repeat, as I did last week, thank you for the hard work on the budget. Dan Creighton, our city manager, and Ina Resnick, and all the department heads and everyone else who participated in that project. I appreciate your hard work. We all appreciate it, and the council worked hard as well. So thank you very much, and we're proud of it.
Okay, on to the calendar. Item 1 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to pay administrative costs under the Emergency Tenant Protection Act, authorizing the passing on of administrative costs to the owners of the buildings included under such act, and directing the city controller to make billing therefor.
Okay, so as mentioned, this resolution allows the city to pay administrative costs for Section 8 housing and authorizes us to pass on these costs to the owners through billing totaling $9,568. If there's any questions, our comptroller is here to answer them.
Do we have any questions from the council? Any questions or comments from the public? Okay.
Item 2 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to renew the city's agreements for disaster management, response, and recovery consulting services.
Okay, this resolution allows us to renew existing agreements for disaster response and recovery consulting services for the 10 remaining ongoing projects from Hurricane Sandy. Just to note, there were originally, I believe, 60 projects. There's only 10 remaining, and this extends for services that we need the consulting teams on board for until the projects are completed. If you have any questions, our Department of Public Works Commissioner is here.
Do we have questions from the council?
Yeah, I would just say a brief recap of some of the outstanding projects, not in detail, just so everybody understands the work that is still underway and is going to get done.
Okay, so there's the firehouse stations 1 and 2. Let's see, Pine Street, 150 Pine Street, water treatment plant, City Hall, City Garage. These are all like protective projects for storm surges. The City Garage, Recreation Senior Center, which I believe is almost done, Animal Shelter, Public Records Storage, Police Auxiliary Building, which we still have to follow up on again, and wastewater treatment plant. So these are all hazard mitigation type projects.
Just, Joe, quick question. Some of these projects are still listed as being in the design phase, like 85, 90% designed. I'm just wondering, it's 13 and a half years since Sandy. What takes so long on these projects?
Yeah, the FEMA Public Assistance Program is a very long and drawn-out process, unfortunately. We've actually, on the positive side, the city had 52 project worksheets as a result of Hurricane Sandy. To date, we've closed out 42 of those project worksheets and done completed easily over 60 projects, totaling over $200 million. These 10 that are remaining are, a majority of them are called hazard mitigation projects. What happens under the FEMA Public Assistance Program is basically, say for example, like this building had about $1.2 million worth of damage. Well, if it's under the FEMA Public Assistance Program, if it's considered a critical facility, you are entitled for hazard mitigation money up to 100% of what the damage was caused to the building. Mm-hmm. So, like in this case, theoretically, you'd be eligible for approximately $1.2 million worth of hazard mitigation. That is money you have to apply for. They don't just give it to you. So a majority of the work that you see on the spreadsheet, I think that I forwarded to the city manager and the council, represents that work. So in this case, like all the damage-related work was corrected, but we went a step further, and we said we want to apply for mitigation for this building. So we hired a consultant under this agreement, and they actually put together an original hazard mitigation plan, which revealed that this building was fell under SHPO, State Historic Preservation Office. So therefore, we had to do a study for SHPO. We did under this Disaster Recovery Services Agreement. Then we had to incorporate those elements from the SHPO study into the proposed hazard mitigation plan. And now we're actually in the process where we're resubmitting the hazard mitigation plan with all these elements. Hopefully it gets approved. then we can move forward to design. So all these things take months
red
and months
tape.
and months and months and months, you know, a lot of steps. And that's why we're only extending this disaster recovery services agreement for these specific projects, because they're all at different stages of completion. Like, these are all things that are in the works already. We're not giving any new projects under this agreement. This is all existing projects that are at various stages of either study, planning, design, or about to go into construction. So I recommend that we renew it. This is the third renewal, by the way, of this agreement. We did this 2 years ago. And I recommend we continue it. I'm hoping this is the last.
I was just going to say, do you think there's going to be a fourth?
I hope it's the last.
Okay.
I actually have that in my little notes for this presentation that I was going to give to you, is that hopefully this was going to be the last. I can't guarantee it, but I'm hoping.
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Joe. Any other questions on the council? Questions from the public?
Okay. All right, item 3 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase a trolley bus under the State of Washington contract.
Okay, so this resolution authorizes the city to replace one of the trolley buses that is currently 14 years old. The average life expectancy of these trolley buses is typically 10 years old. It has 500,000 miles on it. This is the red low-floor trolley bus that will be replaced with a similar low-floor trolley bus. This is being purchased as a piggyback contract with Washington State, a competitive procurement, which is common in FTA-funded projects and then approved practice by them. There is also a question as to why we are not going electric. At this time, we do not have the infrastructure available at the garage to support an electric trolley facility yet, but there are good comments we've had some good comments from the public about maybe going with more green types of trolleys. I think it's a good choice for the future. I'm not sure if it's a good time to do that now, as we need to replace this trolley bus and the procurement window is closing. We will look at that in the future. I do have Mr. Robinson here if you have any further questions.
From the council?
Mike, I understand we have 2 trolleys right now. And
3.
3, okay. And how are they used? Because I was trying to find that, and
The 2 trolley buses that aren't an open trolley bus, they're used on regular routes throughout the city.
so they're used, the ones that are open are used?
No, there's only
No.
one that's an open trolley that you only
Okay.
see seasonal. That's used on right now. It would be on a regular route over the summer.
Uh-huh.
And the other 2 are enclosed that just look like a trolley.
And-
And they're on regular routes. They're used year-round.
And
We
they're
use them
the-
for holidays, we use them year-round.
And they're they're the same as a regular
It's the
bus?
same exact bus. The only thing different with it is that it has a trolley configuration.
Okay.
That's the only thing different with it.
And how much do new buses cost us?
The trolley configuration.
No, not the trolley.
No, I'm just gonna, so for example,
Yeah.
the trolley configuration is $67,000. So if we didn't want the trolley configuration, we just remove $67,000.
So it's cheaper to have a bus?
It's cheaper to have, a regular bus.
Then why would we, since they're the same thing, why would we have the trolley configuration?
We've always had the trolleys. It was before I got here. They look nice. People like them. And, 90% of it is paid for under grants.
Well, 90% is paid for,
Yeah.
and which,
Sure.
what I don't like is that they're diesel. And
Yes.
And
Yeah, no one likes it. So we did apply for a competitive grant in April for a brand-new facility that would be able to convert into an electric facility for plans and do a feasibility study and look at other city properties that we could possibly build a new facility on. With that grant, we also applied for 6 electric buses. So if we get the building, we get the buses. So that's what we're looking at now. If the state decides in 2030 that all transportation agencies have to go electric, that'll be a mandate. I'm under the impression that they should cough up a little bit more then. You know, if you're going to tell us that we have to go electric, the same thing with the federal government, if it comes down to that 10% that we pay, maybe it drops down to 5%. It's because the cost of the buses. For example, the cost, when I looked 4 months ago, was $880,000 for an electric bus. I mean, they're expensive.
But that's not that much more than what we're paying.
But that doesn't include the infrastructure we need for it. That
Yes,
doesn't
correct.
include the power station, which we cannot put in the current facility. It floods. So we
Yes.
can't put in the current facility, and we don't know if the grid can handle it. So we'd have to work with PSNG to find out if we can handle it there.
But we were looking into power stations for Teslas, for
Yeah,
example.
yeah.
And the bus requires that a Tesla power station couldn't charge a bus, even
Well,
the high-speed
if we're going to
ones?
do it, right, you're going to do it for all our buses, and then for support equipment, right? So it would be for the whole thing. We're not going to do it for one bus. We want to get the
No,
money
but
to do it for all of
you
them.
start with
Yes,
one.
yes.
You
I
know,
see what
can
you're saying, sure.
understand it. What about CNG?
We could go CNG, but they have to be stored outside, and we'd have to convert the building either way.
We'd have
The
what?
plan is that we need a new facility. That's the plan, is to try to get a new facility first, and then go either CNG or electric. Everyone seems to be going electric. If that's what where the money is, we'll follow the money.
And CNG, would we get the same grants if we went CNG?
Right now, yes.
And how much would a CNG cost us?
We didn't look into CNG because, again, you'd have to convert the facility. You'd have to put in a place to store the gas.
Well, why don't we just use the schools? They've offered that.
That's, you know, if you want to look into it, we can look into
We
it.
looked into it years ago. And they, you know, at that time, they said, fine.
You mean
That's
have the
what-
bus
that'd be
what?
an
charge
agreement
up at the
between
school?
city and the school
No,
district.
not
Fill up at
charge.
school- fill up at the school.
Yes.
And how do we work that out?
We just pay them for it. The school has the facility. They use it
You
to,
mean at the Nike base?
yes, at the Nike base, over as you go in to the left.
Right.
Yeah. And it's just so much cleaner than diesel. But we haven't looked at that?
No, we have not looked
Okay,
at that.
thanks.
Because we're going in the direction of electric. And including in the grant that we applied for would be training for the mechanics and first responders to deal with electric. That's what we
Right,
did.
but this is 15 months away, this bus.
Yeah.
You can't get it for 15 months.
I think that's going to be the same thing for all of them. They're going to be
Well,
15
I
months.
don't
We'll
know,
have that.
and we
But,
didn't
yeah.
look into it, so we
No.
don't know. All right, thank you, Michael.
I will say that any bus that you have fabricated will take it about 15 months or more. You're not going to get it less by going electric or go by
No, but
compressed
we,
natural gas.
I'm not looking for the speed as much as the cleanliness, that's all. Diesel is, you know, the carcinogenic. What can I, even the cleaner diesel still has elements. All right.
Any other questions on the council? Questions, comments from the public? Right there, yes. You come up to the microphone, please.
Come up to the mic and state your name, please. Well, wait till you come up to the mic. Thank you.
I think
Can you
60,
stand, Amy?
Yep.
Yeah,
Get
speak
right
into the
next to the
microphone.
mic.
I
State
don't
your
like it
name.
up here.
Yep. State your name again, please. Thank you.
$67,000 to have a trolley bus seems fiscally irresponsible in these times in Long Beach. Although it looks nice, I don't think $67,000 is really worth spending on that. So I personally think that you should nix that and have a nice new bus that is more friendly financially.
Just remember one thing, the 67,000, the city only pays 10% of that, so it'd be 6,700. And then the bus lasts, what, 10 years, Mike? So it's really about six.
It's a grant.
Right. So really you're talking about $670 a year for the trolley
I
versus a
know,
regular
but,
bus.
complete transparency, $67,000 is what you all said, and I'm just saying it seems fiscally irresponsible.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? In the back there? You raised your phone, right? Yeah. Okay.
Good evening. I'm Octavio. West Walnut is where I'm at. I'm listening about the e-buses and stuff, but every article that I'm reading is basically trending to that they're all broken down. way expensive to fix, way expensive to maintain. Charging stations are going to be ridiculously high. I wouldn't even recommend it. Like, again, Tesla's losing money because they're seeing that customers are starting to understand these things don't have the longevity that they expect that a gas vehicle would have. So with that said, I mean, I don't even think E anything is really reliable at this point with the technology that they have available at all. It's more of riding a trend, and you know, I don't know why we have to always find out that we're going to fail in something before we study up on it. So with that said, and the trolley, I think that's a signature kind of a aesthetic that this town's always had. You know, it's almost like if you don't have that trolley, I've taken it myself, taken my daughter on it, taken my niece. Again, it's you know, it's something that Long Beach has always had and known for. To pull it out of the, you know, from under us, I think would just be a shame. You know, sort of a tradition to ride the
We're not talking about the open-air trolley.
Yes, yeah.
We're not talking about that.
No. I was on to the E thing at first, but now I'm talking about the trolley. Yeah.
It's a bus that has a trolley look to it.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, it's always been around, and I'd like my daughter to take her daughter, you know, to have her daughter or son take it one day. Like I said, it's like the Hollywood Hills. You know, Long Beach has always seen these trolleys. It's always had the trolley. So, anyway, that was my take on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Question over here.
Hi, thank you. Allison Blanchett. Did you get my email?
Yes.
Yeah, we talked
Okay.
about it.
I actually just found out what the engine was. It's a Cummins. The engine on the trolley that is being retired is a Cummins ISB 6.7, which is post-EPA regulations in 2010. So anything, the question that I had about going through the NYSERDA process, which I think you know what I'm talking about, that is for vehicles that are diesel before 2009. So unfortunately, we just miss out on a $250,000 voucher. But kind of what Michael is saying about infrastructure, this is not a problem just for Long Beach. This is a problem across the country because this country is so far behind when it comes to sustainable transportation and, just smart EV infrastructure. Cities throughout the country are facing problems with, do you buy the vehicle first? Kind of like the New York City taxi drivers, right? They all went out and bought EVs because they learned about this great incentives and all of these climate goals, but there's no infrastructure in place. And we can't, the New York City DOT cannot put in enough infrastructure because there's a grid problem. So you've got the balancing of what comes first. Do you want the chicken first? Do you want the egg first? So it's just a problem everywhere. So unfortunately, you're going to have to just kind of like bite the bullet and just go for the cleaner energy because it's the right thing to do, and then really search for the EV infrastructure. You've got plenty of options out there. If you look at NEVI grants, they're giving them away like between that and some of the other infrastructure bills that have come out of the Biden build stuff. It's just an obscene amount, more funding for this type of infrastructure than we've seen since, what was that guy in the 30s? The Johnson or whatever? That great I don't know, I didn't do well in history.
From the
Anyways.
30s, you said?
Who's the guy who did the big great
The New Deal?
Yeah, that guy.
Who was John Gold?
What? So basically, so what I'd like to know is what is going to happen with the retired vehicle? And I initially thought that this was for the replica trolley, but this is not for the replica trolley. This is for, because the replica trolley is actually the low entry that is just modified as a step up.
Yes.
So that's what I thought that this was. So this is not for the step up. This is for the low entry. Okay.
No, it's the green one and the red one.
For the green one? Oh, okay. That makes more sense. So yeah, just knowing where the where the buses are going to go.
When we do dispose of the vehicle, whether it be auctioned off, anything over $5,000, we have to give back to the FTA, or they take it off the next grant.
And then they'll probably end up scrapping it, so that's great.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
they don't take the bus, they
don't
want the money. If we sell it,
So,
and we get
yeah.
more than $5,000, they get the money.
If we sell it and we do well, we get $100,000, we'll only
They-
see 5,000 of that
They
95
put
goes
90%
back.
of the bus, they want the money back.
And if you're really lucky, the EPA will step up again and do another one of those, like change the year of the voucher, because that as scrappage is $250. I'm assuming the weight
The last
is
two
class
buses
7.
we sold, just as an FYI, they turned them into campers.
Oh, so nice. Okay.
It's actually a pretty good use, actually.
Thank you.
Tim Kramer.
Hi, Tim Kramer, 361 East Broadway. So, you know, people brought up the additional cost of the unit itself, EV compared to gas. They've also spoke about the infrastructure. There's a cost there. The one thing that neglects to get brought up, and I've been in the car business for 38 years, so I have a lot of experience with this EV versus gas and the whole debate situation. And the one thing that never gets brought up, and it gets overlooked every single time, is the cost of the electricity itself to charge the vehicle. Extraordinarily expensive. And just to bring it down to, you know, the guy that buys an EV car, if you're not the guy that has the solar panels on your roof and you have to have that extra capacity, okay, if you have pre-existing panels on your roof, but you didn't allow for the extra 10%, 15% capacity to charge that electric vehicle, you're getting housed, okay? You're getting housed. To charge that car, you know, with New York rates is far, far more expensive. So I would.
Then buying gas?
Oh, it's far more expensive. I have a neighbor of mine. He bought 2 Jeeps. It wasn't full electric. It was the electric hybrid. The first month he charged these things up like nobody's business. These things were plugged in all the time. After that, he's not plugging these things in. He doesn't have panels on his roof. You have to be that guy. You have, and I would caution that when you go down this road as a city, as a municipality, you have to take that expense into consideration, because it's a major, major expense. You know, we all want to be green. You know, and you know, just a side note, if New York has their way and we get the wind turbines and our electric rates go up 3, 4, 5 times, and we go down this EV bus and police cars and all this municipality, you know, infrastructure, it's going to be a major, major expense on the city. So just, I would have that front and center.
Thank you.
Just so you know, it was put into the feasibility study and cost analysis was put in the competitive grant, and we also put it in to the capital plan if we don't get the competitive grant to do that study. That was, you guys voted for that the last meeting.
Do you know what the difference would be?
I don't know. We would do a study to see the cost of the electric and, you know, where to build the facility. That would all be included in it.
You can
Traffic
find
study,
out?
environmental study. When we do that, if we get the money, or if we don't get the money through competitive, we'll do it through the capital, through a grant, a smaller grant, and then do that first. That'll be included, the cost analysis and everything.
Okay.
Michael, the smaller trolley, that's 100% grant funded, according to the
So it's smaller truck. They're all,
you have a semi-open trolley bus, medium duty, in the capital budget.
that's the,
No, this one's the heavy-duty trolley bus.
So to be regulated for FTA, it's got to be considered, they consider it heavy duty. So it's the same size, but it's the weight class.
But the medium is only 350, as opposed to 750.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's-
the open air trolley.
Yeah,
Right,
that's the open-air trolley.
it's
And
completely
that's
different cost.
100% grant
Yeah.
funded, right?
Yes, if we buy that through state funds, yes.
So we don't pay anything for that one?
Yes, that's what we're looking to do, yes.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
And you have your hand in the back? Yes, thank you.
Hi, Nate Epstein. 200 Blackheath Road, but moving into the city of Long Beach within the next month or two. And I've been in Long Beach or Lido for 22 years. So, someone earlier implied that this is an absurd cost, but the idea that public transportation is more costly than maintaining a system of individual rider vehicles, as long as we have, is absurd. Frankly, this city needs to expand its public transportation. We should have north-south running lines. We should have bike lanes. Driving here in the city in the summer sucks. Parking sucks. It's dangerous. It's crowded. And you can't get to the store to get groceries if you don't have a car. It's absurd. And to me, $6,000 for a trolley sounds like a steal. It's a drop in the bucket to pay for something nice that makes it easier to get around. And really, we should be looking into expanding our public transportation infrastructure.
Thank you. Thanks. Anybody else? Okay, close that.
Okay, item 4 is a resolution adopting a City of Long Beach Federal Transit Administration Safety Plan.
So this resolution is for the city to approve the public transportation safety plan for the city of Long Beach. This is to be in compliance with the FTA requirements.
Questions from the council? Mike?
Dan, were there any things that we had to add from the previous years to stay in compliance?
There were some updates made. They were not major. There was nothing of any major significance that was updated, but I'm just trying to find something that we changed. A lot of it was tied to safety management systems, safety risk probability, et cetera, but most of it was in line with what it was before. But really, it was just, I just did it once over to make sure it really complied with the FTA requirements, the FAST Act, and other items like that.
And just when the FTA did look at it and approve it, so it's been approved by them.
By the way, it was done in March. It's just getting it approved after they looked at it. Yep.
John?
The plan calls for a chief safety officer. Who is that?
Mike?
Is that you?
That's right now,
Michael.
it's me, yes.
Yep.
Okay. The plan also calls for, we have to do employee training. Do we do that internally, or do we send people out for that?
Both.
We do that internally. We have we have safety meetings and stuff like that.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that training's all
Yeah.
done in internal. Okay.
Including the drivers, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
This doesn't, supersede the city's safety policy. This is, they wanted something separate under their guidelines just for public transportation.
Okay.
In years past, we used to go over to the state. They changed it, more government red tape. They wanted every small agency to have it. If you were a small agency, you could go under your state, and that was fine. So that's what it used to be.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on the council? Questions, comments from the public? I will close that.
Item 5 is a resolution approving the reimbursement of various volunteer fire department expenses.
This item is to approve management controls for volunteer fire department expenses. It allows for these expenses to be reimbursed only upon submission and approval by the city manager and/or the comptroller. I do have Ina Resnick here if you have any questions from that end, and Joe Miller here from the fire department if you have any questions from that end.
Questions from the council? Questions, comments from the public? Okay, we'll close that then.
Okay, the next 3 items are going to be called concurrently since they deal with the same topic. First being a resolution authorizing transfer of funds for the 23-24 fiscal year. The next one, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement for the repair of a 2006 Vector truck from the sole source provider. And the third, again, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement for the repair of a 2015 Vector truck from the sole source provider. And that's a picture of a Vector truck right there on the screen.
So item 6, 7, 8 is mentioned are for approval and repair of 2 Vector trucks currently owned by the city, the 2006 and the 2015 model. I've reviewed these items and have Joe and Dave from our garage here to discuss it. However, before they start, let me give you some of the details as to why I feel this is a good investment. Although the items will cost almost $144,000 for one and $76,000 for the other, these are basically rebuilding both units. These units would cost new approximately $650,000. The main trucks, what you see there where most of the yellow is, they're in good shape. There's not a lot of miles on them. The engines are in good shape. It's basically the cab in the back that's the storage unit. I don't know how to describe it. It's the body, the back body of the truck where the sewer water is stored when you use the vacuum truck. The debris body, it's the debris body, I'm sorry, and the flange assemblies are rotted through. We do have some pictures from the inside. Somebody went inside the truck. While you're standing inside the truck, you can see light coming through the truck. If you see like those pictures on the right, it's not the best picture. There's other ones that are better pitted. These are steel frames. They're rotted through. We're in a salt air environment. It's not the best condition. I have talked to the garage and the Department of Public Works about the possibility of similar to undercoating the bottom of your car, undercoating the inside of these to help them last longer. I do believe this is a good investment as opposed to buying new ones. This will give us, I believe Joe will tell you the full number, but I believe it will give us another 10 years on each truck, so pretty much a full new life on them. I'm not familiar what the warranty will be on some of the parts. I'll ask Dave to speak to that. But there are warranties for various parts, but I think they differ in length and time. Other than that, I believe, like I said, Joe is here and Dave is here to answer any questions you have.
Yeah, that was an excellent summary. Just wanted to add that a new Vector truck is probably in the area of $650,000 to $700,000, and if we did order one today, it would probably take 18 months to 2 years to obtain one. But I have Dave Caney here. He's our chief mechanic at the City Central Garage, and if you have any specific questions, we'll do our best, both of us, to try to answer them.
Question from?
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, a few questions. Did we look at any used vacuum trucks?
I did look online. A used Vector truck is about $245,000. They'll have more mileage and hours than ours do. So I think, again, we've owned this truck both trucks since they've been new. We haven't had any other major problems with the cab and chassis. Just that the backs that hold the waste are rotting out. So
Right.
if we buy a used vehicle, we don't know what we're getting and
Well, that's
how it
what
was taken care
we inspect before we buy, I would imagine. I looked online too. I found them much cheaper. Trucks, this is a 2006 truck.
Correct.
Trucks that were almost 10 years younger, so to speak, for, close to this $100,000 mark. But I did not know what particular truck this was or anything like that. Those are some of the questions I had asked, but I never got an answer to that. The idea, this truck, the 2006, has 21,000 miles on it,
Yes, sir.
and the 2015 has how many miles on it?
I think that has 12,000.
Okay, so it's the back part.
Correct.
Now, how would we stop this back part from rotting out?
So there's not going to be a true way to stop it, but the 06 lasted 20 years. So we're going to rhino line the inside when the new bodies do come back, if we do go ahead and repair these. We will rhino line the inside, which will help from the rot and the acid in the sewers, the sewer water and salt water that go into them and sit in them. Like we've been doing on all the new vehicles that we have been getting. We've been undercoating and everything to keep them.
But was it the undercoating that rotted, or was it the actual tank?
That's the actual tank, but we're going to undercoat inside of the tank.
Inside the tank?
Yes.
Okay.
But they're going to undercoat the inside of the tank.
On the new ones. The old ones don't have, the previous ones, Roy, don't have undercoating in them. They're going to put it in the new ones.
Just out of curiosity, how come one of them took 20 years to rot out and the other one only took 10?
Because 20 years ago, trucks were built better than they are today.
Oh.
I mean, I'm being honest with you.
Probably thicker gauge steel, probably, right?
Yeah.
So it was what, Dan?
It's probably thicker gauge steel. So it's,
And the new truck we're getting is a thinner gauge steel? The new tank we're getting?
I'm not sure of what they are made out of now, but I mean, we have to get one either way or buy a new truck.
Now, right now, we have no truck operating, correct?
We do have the 20-year-old truck is still here in town. We're renting one also.
So is the 20-year-old one operating now?
Yes.
Okay. All right, but the 2015 is not operating?
No, that's at Trias,
And that
waiting
would,
for approval.
and that was just because of the tank, it's not operating?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
And then, guys, Dan mentioned a price, and I just want to confirm the exorbitant price to rent the truck. Is it $35,000? How much is it cost to?
It's about $13,500
Oh.
Per month?
so it's per quarter. Sorry. I thought it was, I gave. the-
35
yeah.
a quarter, okay.
A quarter? Or,
Sorry, I thought it
Every
was per
quarter is
month, it's a quarter.
35,000, so it's more than we thought.
okay. And how
That's
long
better than I thought.
will these repairs take?
So the newer truck would be fixed in approximately 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh.
And then the 06, because there's a lot more work to do on that truck to refurb it and bring it back to the way it was in 2006, would probably be 2 months.
And can we operate with one truck?
I believe we can. That's, as soon as we get the one back.
If we
should
get the
be
new
okay.
one back, the new one you said would take 2 or 3 weeks.
Yes.
So once we get that new one back, we don't have to rent anymore, and we can bring the 206 in immediately to be fixed.
Yes.
Is that right?
I also have Barry Weed. He's our superintendent of sewer maintenance. He uses these trucks. This is probably two of the most important pieces of apparatus that we have in the city because we use it to clean our storm sewers. We use it to clean our manholes, catch basins. But I think he has a couple of comments as well.
Good evening. Just real quick, and thank you for taking the time for actually putting this on the agenda. This is something that I was pushing for maybe 2 years since I took over the department, and I seen over a period of time, over a fast period of time, how fast these trucks are deteriorating, and anybody who obviously seen and more so Dave can see that every day or every other day or every 3 days that truck is always took into his, to the city garage for some kind of maintenance.
Right.
And I don't think it's necessarily fair to, the residents that we don't have these trucks operable and ready to work when we need them to work,
Right.
whether that's on the business or the residential part of Long Beach. And it's very important that we have these trucks because not only does it work for the sewer department, but it works for every other department in Long Beach as well.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. Did you say it was $13,000 a month for the rental?
$13,500
A month. I mean, it pays for itself within, The other question I have.
10 months.
Yeah, besides it paying for itself. Do you guys need, when they send it to, is it Trias? I know there's two companies.
One of them's at Trias, one of them's going to go to Jack.
Yeah, okay. But is it just the tank, or they're doing all the lines and everything that goes in it, and all the, anything that's on the debris bed?
So the 15, the boom is what's stuck on that one. It's frozen out because of the salt water
Right.
and debris getting on it all the time. So that's a boom and a turret which swings the boom.
Yeah.
So they can get to different manholes and whatever they have to do. That's what's wrong with that truck. The 06, the tank is rotting out.
But when they replace the tank, are they going to replace
They're gonna
everything that goes with it?
They're going to rebuild the pumps. They're going to rebuild, that truck is basically going to come back the way we got it in 2006.
Got it. So it's everything that's sitting on that back chassis?
Yes.
I mean, it seems worth it to do.
And different parts have different warranties, I'm assuming.
So I did speak to both companies, and the parts are guaranteed for 1 year, parts and labor. Again, that's a special piece of equipment, so they don't have any extended warranties
Right.
on those, but the cabs and chassis, again, are in great shape.
Okay.
And Dave, we expect to get about 10 years out of these at least, right?
At least, or if not, another, 20.
Yeah, that's good.
And just to, also, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Also, I just want to add to that, there's also something that obviously the department can do, obviously, is maintain as far as being able to, on a day-to-day, flush it and things, et cetera, just to kind of elongate, the life of the trucks.
Excellent.
as well.
That's right.
While they clean it out, wash out the tank, fresh water?
Yeah.
All right, good.
But that's not been done yet? I mean, this is something new? I mean, I'm looking, what will prevent this from happening again? And you're saying the procedures you have in effect right now, will that stop this from happening?
Well, it would elongate it. It would actually elongate the life of the truck. But again, when I got these trucks and I tried to go through the process of doing that, it was too much wear and tear.
Right.
So-
If we take it to Arizona, it won't get corroded as much,
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you
Just
very much.
one more question.
Oh, sorry.
We're obviously just coming into hurricane season now, and so these trucks
Don't say that word, John.
Well, I'm just saying, these trucks are vital, obviously, if storms are heading our way to clear out the drains and things like that as preparation. Do we have any kind of contingency plan in place, especially if the 2006 truck is gone for 3 months? It may be gone for a good chunk of the hurricane season, if not all. So do we have a plan B? Can we get by with a single truck, or would we?
We will have the 15 back, but if it comes to that, we can always turn around and rent.
So you could do a short-term rental?
Yes.
Okay.
Question from the public. Tim Kramer.
Hi, sorry, I'm just going to throw my 2 cents in wherever I can to try and help the city save money. So they have this, it's called a spray-on rubber membrane. So that would be probably the correct application to put inside it. The undercoating thing you talk, it's a spray-on rubber membrane that they use on like metal roofs, and you can. There's local companies that do this type of stuff all over the place, and you put that in there. I tell you, it'll never rot. It'll last forever.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Can we do that?
Well, they're looking into it. They were saying you were going to rhino line it.
I probably should have said, instead of undercoating, rhino line or line X.
Yeah, you said
did
rhino
say that.
line.
Yeah,
You said it, yeah.
I did thought I said
Yeah.
it.
No, you did say it. Yeah. Thank you.
Great.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you. We'll close that then.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Barry.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, item 9 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase salt, mineral crushed rock under New York State contract.
So this resolution allows us to purchase replacement salt for the upcoming snow season. We have not used it all in the past, as we have had mild winters recently, but must be diligent and plan for a possible increase in snow days this year, snow events. Do have Joe here if you have any further questions.
Question from the council. Questions, comments from the public? Yes, Eileen Hessian.
Eileen Hessian, Long Beach. As you said, we had very little snow last year. Item number 6 mentions overtime for snow removal of $43,000. I'm sure we didn't spend any of that. And this is asking for $67,000 for salt. And in one of the last meetings, you had mentioned that we have to build something to hold the salt. And if we wanted to think again about hurricanes, I can see all that $67,000 being washed away in a hurricane unless we have that housing built up. So this is very expensive. How long is this supposed to last, $60,000?
So this is for the whole snow season, but we will not be taking delivery of it until, I believe, Joe, is it November or September? September.
You mean it's only for 1 year?
It's 1 year. We buy this
Yikes.
every year. Yep.
Wait, I want to just touch on that, what you said, Eileen, because I thought the same thing, then didn't read it. That money's not being spent. That's not overtime. That's where they're taking the money from.
Yeah, the overtime in the previous one that you mentioned in item 6, that is the money that's being transferred to pay for the vac trucks, so that money was not spent last year in
Right,
overtime.
but I thought that was a large amount of money to have set aside for overtime. Is that what we usually spend?
It's, yeah.
Okay. And
Snow
do we have
removal is
that,
overtime.
the salt house being built?
So we have put in for grants for the salt enclosure. We're still looking at that, but we have not been granted. Is it, Joe, is it NYSERDA or DEC? Did we put in for DEC? Did we put in for that grant for it? But we do have to build one of those. We do have a consent.
Tell them to hurry up before snow season. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the public? I will close that.
Item 10 is a resolution authorizing the retention of outside counsel.
So this item allows us to hire outside counsel to represent the city in any type of zoning issues. As you're aware, there should be a separation between the city and the zoning board. Frank DeCranis is here to address any questions you have.
Does anybody have any questions for Frank regarding this retention of counsel? Not from the council, from the public? Eileen Hessian.
Thank you, Eileen Hessian. I was going to bring this up last week, but I left the meeting before Good and Welfare, so I didn't. I wanted to welcome Mr. DeCranis, and I had 2 requests of him. One was that we do much less settling of cases, and if we are right, take them to court and win. Because what we've done in the past is say it's cheaper to settle, and we're giving people who were clearly in the wrong money. And I hope that you'll do that, more in-house stuff. The other thing is, I was going to bring this up last week, that we have less outside counsel and that the legal things be taken care of in-house rather than paying $50,000 as I see this week. So I don't understand. I mean, I know what this zoning board situation is. It's for the Hebrew Academy, former, and the place on Grand Boulevard in the Boardwalk. It's a zoning board situation, so I don't understand why we have to have outside counsel. What are they going to do that, you or your staff couldn't do?
It's a good question, but let me explain why we need outside counsel. The Corporation Counsel, can you hear me? How about now? Yeah. Okay. The Corporation Counsel represents the zoning board and gives advice to the zoning board. The city is going to take a strong position against those 2 properties in the variance that's being sought. And the council wants to make it clear that the city is going to really actually put their money where their mouth is. So your question is then why can't we do it and wear 2 hats? Well, it would be a conflict of interest. If the city's corporate counsel, my office, would go and present a case to the zoning board on behalf of the city opposing the application, we could hardly not call it a conflict of interest if we then wore another hat and advised the zoning board about legal matters with respect to that case. So it's necessary you have outside counsel. So we didn't spend the $50,000. It's an authorization up to that amount. And we're waiting to see what's going to go on, but the outside counsel will present the case against those 2, and then if there's any litigation after that, we'll go forward. But at this point, the limit is $50,000, but that's enough to get the ball rolling and put this counsel in place. Does that explain it?
No, probably because I'm not understanding. If you advise the zoning board, Corporation Counsel advises the zoning board, why don't you just advise them not to do it?
Well, we can't advise them how to decide. That's not the purpose of that. We can give them advice on legal matters and procedures and things to that, but we have no business telling them how to decide. That's their own judgment. and we have to just advise them on legal matters.
So the outside counsel will be able to tell them.
The outside counsel will present the case against it on behalf of the city.
All right.
Okay, so
Got it.
it's a different hat.
All right. Thank you very much.
And thanks for my welcome.
Christina Kramer.
Good evening, Christina Kramer. Welcome, Mr. DeCranis. So I would be remiss if my people will tear me down if I don't take this opportunity to ask this. If you can hire outside counsel for situations like the zoning board, why are we unable to not hire outside counsel to represent our community in offshore wind? Now, we fully understand there are different opinions about offshore wind and the cables and the whole project, but why don't we have outside representation, if it's not Mr. DeCranis's specialty, to look into the cost-benefit analysis, to look into the health and safety, to look into the traffic? Why are the residents being footed with this bill fundraising and taking things on our own? We need some help. Can we get this kind of help like the zoning board's getting?
Yes, and let me explain that. And
Please.
I'm glad you brought that up. Okay, we had Tillman is a big firm, and we had Tillman at some point in the past when the city was negotiating or wanted them to negotiate to settle and grant the lease to Equinor. The city was at that time appeared to be in favor of that.
That's correct.
Going through Long Beach. That has changed. The council has directed me to take a strong position. City manager and someone from my office attended the settlement conferences, and it was strongly suggested, not suggested, strongly stated that we are opposed to it. We're not going to grant the lease in any circumstances, and we're going to fight this as long and with as much resources the city has. Now, Tillman is a law firm that generally puts things in place, and their expertise is to place these things and go forward with that and advance the project. When the city reversed course, Tillman, according to their retainer, was able to withdraw from the case, and they
That's
did.
right.
Now, in the meantime, it's in Article 7. It's a very it's a very technical area. It's dealing with the Public Service Commission, and you have to know what's going on, and there's a lot of nuances. So I've been dealing with several firms, and I have somebody that I spoke to, in fact, today, and I'm going to confirm some things tomorrow and meet with them next week, and I believe we're going to retain that firm. And it's an attorney that is well skilled in this and has a great reputation. I'm very pleased that I think we're going to be able to bring him on board. Now, just so you know, there are some things that are important in how you approach these cases. The city's position is we're not going to let you come through our property. Go somewhere else. You know, and it pretty much that's what might happen. However, if some things gets forced, let's say the state grants some things, and the state decides they're going to push this, and we don't care. We want an easement through the city of Long Beach, and we're going to do it as a taking, or they're going to take the property.
Like through the Rapid Act?
Well, it's like that. Like, in other words, it's almost like an eminent domain type of thing. Now, I'm being very simple with this, but just so we can understand, I want people to understand this. You need an attorney that's going to look at this and say, okay, how painful can we make it so these people don't even think about that? And that's what we need. And there's certain things you can do. It's not just that we're not going to grant them a lease. We're not going to grant them a lease. They know that. We communicated that. There was a motion that they made. I didn't answer that because everybody else answered that motion. I didn't want to spend
That was
motion
going to
on
be my next
getting
question.
somebody else. Okay. I was aware of it. What I'm more concerned with is putting roadblocks in case they decide to do something like that. I don't think that's going to happen. However, we're going to have somebody in place that in our course of my conversation with that attorney today, he talked about some of the zoning and some of the things that would make it impermissible, environmental studies, things that we could put there and demand, and even if we had to comply, we could take years to comply. So there's a lot of things that, not just reading the black letter law, but there's a lot of things that you can do if you've done this before and you're familiar with it. That's where we're going with this, and I'm telling you right now that we're going to put somebody in place there.
Well, I can tell you our group is really pleased to hear this. So I have one final question. So if you put an attorney in place that will, or a firm that's going to be representing the city, which happens to be aligned with Protect Our Coast's interests, is there a possible way that we could, because, you know, I don't know any attorney really that knows more than our group does. They sift through those papers like scientists. I would like it if it's possible to put some type of committee that's, you know, separate and apart to confer with the attorney on our findings so that it could be as, you know, in depth and they can be as knowledgeable as possible, because even the best attorney probably wasn't in the process from the beginning, and we have a lot of information.
Well, if we're all on the same side of the fence, I see absolutely no reason not to.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate all of your responses.
Thanks for bringing it up. I appreciate it.
James? Thank you, Christina.
James Hodge, 95 East Fulton Street here in this city of Long Beach, city that I love. And I wanted to ask, when we're speaking about outside counsel, well, you'll probably be hiring some outside counsel. You'll hear more about that later. But I wanted to, you know, welcome DeCranis, who has an impeccable career, and I spoke a little bit about him last time, former judge, former decorated detective, lawyer who's helped out many people in the city and a lot of places. And I'm hoping that you would be able to help guide the city, Judge DeCranis, in a lot of situations that they may be dealing with, prior and current situations. We talk about outside counsel and hiring them. I believe the city can save some money from doing some of the things that this administration promised with, like taking the MLK out of eviction court. It's a stay now, and I know that, you know, we're working diligently on it and speaking about it, and city manager's been working on different things, and I know the administration's been speaking about it, but that's 6 months, and time is running, and money and bills are, you know, as taxes go up, and as a small organization that don't have a lot of money has to pay out what they don't have. So I'm hoping that, is there any movement as far as taking that out of court that you can say publicly? Because I know you're working on it.
Right, we're on a different topic right now, as you know, so I...
Yeah, but it's outside counsel, so you can speak to the outside counsel part.
Okay, Dan.
So I've been working with MLK to get a proposal. They did submit one proposal. I know that they're looking at submitting another. I have been talking with our internal counsel about what is realistic and what's not. I am still waiting to see the second proposal from the MLK Center, and I will be working with Sharon closely to make sure that we can come to some sort of agreement.
Okay, as you work with the MLK and community leaders, I would say, you know, and I hope you stop my time, David, but I would say that you have Judge DeCranis here. We don't need outside counsel. We don't need to force the MLK in a box before we take them out of court. If we family and we working together, we're doing great things. You got a great legal mind here. I would say take them out of court. We don't have to force them in the box that we want them, then say we'll take you out. I think that's wrong when we're talking about working together. So again, I say save the MLK small nonprofit that started in '68 and opened up in '81. There, save them money because they can use that money to help out and do programs. And so again, as my time in, you do have a legal mind that I believe would be able to work this out with yourself and community leaders and the MLK board, giving them the respect not to box them in the corner with outside counsel and with them having to be forced to get an attorney.
So our full intention is to talk among ourselves without counsel. When I say counsel right now, I'm talking Frank and his staff, specifically Joe Lupo, stuff like that. Our intention is to work to get to an agreement and then bring in counsel at the end to just draw up the paperwork.
No, talking outside the council is good, but it's still clicking every month. An outside counsel is hired, and MLK have to pay attorneys too. And so what I'm saying is, even though you're talking, you can speak without them having to hire an attorney and the city having outside counsel. You can still talk because they talked about taking them out of court, eviction court.
Yeah, we've been talking directly without outside counsel so far.
All right, so I'm saying get rid of the outside counsel. So thank you for your time. I'll be back in a little bit.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the public? Okay, we'll close that.
Okay. Item 11 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing of an ordinance authorizing financing for various capital projects in and for the city, stating the estimated total cost thereof of $22,369,395. This item is for publication only. A hearing will be held June 18th at 7 p.m. And I believe we have an amendment for one of the figures in this item.
I'd like to make a motion to change in Section 1 the figure of $8,245,424 to $8,245,414. So
Have a second.
Second.
What are we changing?
This is just to correct a typo that's in Section 1.
Oh,
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
yes.
Councilmember Lester. It's to correct a $10 mistake in Section 1.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Okay, item 12 is approval of minutes from May 7th and May 21st. Do I have a motion?
So moved as amended with the comments I
Yes.
sent you.
Yes, an updated version of the 7th minutes were sent around later this afternoon. Do I have a second?
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Okay. On to the voting. Wrong sheet. Okay, so item 1 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to pay administrative costs under the Emergency Tenant Protection Act, authorizing the passing on of administrative costs to the owners of the buildings included under such act, and directing the city controller to make billing therefor. Who would introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Item 2 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to renew the city's agreements for disaster management, response, and recovery consulting services. Who would introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Item 3 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase a trolley bus under the State of Washington contract. Who would introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
As much as I like the idea of trolleys, I think, number one, the idea of spending an extra $67,000, and I know we only pay 10% of that, but that money, grant money, still comes out of your other pocket. The idea of, so it looks a little like a trolley when the rest of the buses don't look like a little bit like a trolley is a little excessive. But more than that, the idea of going with diesel right now and not having even explored CNG just doesn't sit well with me. We're going to have to address this problem sooner or later, and clean energy is important. So I'm going to vote no on this.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Obviously, any alternatives requires infrastructure updates, and we're looking into grants. Just to speak, I know a couple of people brought up the trolley look. I love the trolley look. People in Long Beach, I think, love the trolley look. It looks, anything that helps us not look like Queens, no offense, Queens, I'm voting yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yeah, I also agree. I mean, for $670 a year to have the bus, I like the alternative, alternative power issues. I mean, power solutions, but the city just doesn't have the infrastructure for it at this point. And hopefully by the time this bus is retired, we will be up to par with that and get federal and state grants. So I'm going to vote yes.
President Finn.
I think the comment from one of the public stating that aesthetics matter, I think is appropriate. I think the look is good. Everything doesn't have to look the same. And Mike, this isn't Queens, right? So I vote yes.
Item 4 is a resolution adopting a City of Long Beach Federal Transit Administration safety plan. Who introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Item 5 is a resolution approving the reimbursement of various volunteer fire department expenses. Who introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Item 6 is a resolution authorizing transfer of funds for the 23-24 fiscal year. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Item 7 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter an agreement for the repair of a 2006 Vector truck from the sole source provider. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
I understand how important these trucks are. I know when a sewer gets backed up, we have to bring one of these trucks in. I'm hesitant about the idea of spending that kind of money to repair a almost 20-year-old truck and expecting it to last another, as we heard, 10 to 20 years. Maybe they were built better at that time. I don't know. Expecting something like this to last that long, to me, is a little unrealistic, but I've been assured that the truck's in relatively perfect condition, and, I'm going to vote yes on this with a lot of hesitancy.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
The fact that the truck only has 21,000 miles on it, and, our city mechanics told us that they're in great shape, I think it's the alternative. We do not want to have to rent these trucks at that crazy cost. I'm voting yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yeah, I'm not an expert in trucks, but I know enough that if one has 21,000 miles and the other one's 12,000 in the entire drivetrain, I mean, year aside, they're new or in great shapes. And if our city mechanic vouches for it, and the department head, I forgot your name, I'm sorry, Larry. If Larry, was the department head.
Barry.
Barry, sorry. Barry would it be? I have to go off what they're saying. They're the people who use it and work on them every day. I'm voting yes.
President Finn.
I'll keep it simple. I'll vote yes.
Item 8 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter an agreement for the repair of a 2015 Vector truck from the sole source provider. Would you introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Same type of hesitancy, but also knowing how important these are, I'll vote yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Item 9 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase salt, mineral crushed rock under New York State contract. Who introduced and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Item 10 is a resolution authorizing the retention of outside counsel. Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Normally, I'm completely against hiring outside counsel for what we can do, but as Mr. DeCranis explained, this is a situation where anytime we're up against the zoning board, correct me if I'm wrong, we have to hire outside counsel. So, yeah. So, no other choice. I vote yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
This is an extremely important point for Long Beach, I feel, and it's something that I really energized me to get involved. And I think it's an excellent move on the part of the city, and I thank Frank for introducing it. So yes.
And finally, item 11 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing of an ordinance to amend the authorizing financing for various capital projects in and for the city, stating the estimated total cost thereof of $22,369,395. Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item as amended?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
City manager's multi-personnel report has been filed by the city clerk. Who will make a motion to close the meeting?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Before I vote on that, I made a comment earlier about the budget process, and I thank Dan and Ina and the budget and the department chairs. But also, I'd like to thank John Mooney and the CSEA for participating in that process as well. They were a helpful partner in this, so, and I vote yes to close the meeting.
Okay. Stand by.
Ron Paganini, leading off.
Ron Paganini, Long Beach. Good evening, council, Manager Creighton, and my long friend there, Frank DeCranis. Known him here for 35 years. Let's get on with business here. Now listen, I'm talking about old business here. Talking about money. I got 4 things in mind here that I'm not really letting go right now. 1, we the city have 4 major issues that need fair solutions to solve them. No more kicking the can down the road on all these issues here. Okay, number 1 is the overtime throughout the city. It's way too much money. I saw it building in the budget. We got to reverse it. You got $5 million worth, must be cut in half. I can cut it in half. I'm sure you can cut it in half. I'll take $2 million. Okay. We can take that $2 million and put it towards knocking down this Haberman levy. Shorten it. All right, let me finish now. 2, paid firefighters again. Listen, it's going on a long time now. It's 5 working fires a year. The volunteers can, and will put out the fires. There's no doubt, okay? They put out the fires anyway. Again, there's a solution, a fair solution. It's going to take some hardball, but You have all the rights here. Believe me when I tell you. All the rights. And we can be generous to them. You can keep them all. Let them do the EMS work. Save $2 million. All of them. Keep every one of them. Okay, you're going to save $2 million. Put that towards the Haberman. It's found money. Okay? It is what it is, gentlemen. Let's move on. We got a big problem over in the housing. It's going on for years. I told Mr. Bendo's administration, I spoke to Donna Gaden about it, of revenues that's not being collected. Okay, you're talking in the millions here. Millions of dollars not collected from the people, from the renters, okay? My suggestion is, I know it, not most people don't, but you guys know it. Mr. Cruz must step down. There's no excuse here. The trustees, knowing that's going on, did anyone come to the council? Did anyone come to Mr. Bendo? No. No. You got to do something. And lastly is the windmill, the high voltage cables. Again, the letters to the governor, which I've spoke to Mr. Finn about it. And I'd like to know about that. And I have the paperwork that you wanted to see.
Okay.
I have it here. And I have my fair solution here, a couple of things that, just to remind you that, we can get this done. So I don't know if you want to make comment on the letters now or whatever. The other stuff you guys got to think about and do it.
Let me take it under advisement and make comments next time.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your interest. Amy Rappaport.
Good evening.
You got to bring the mic up to your mouth. There you go.
Thank you for having Good and Welfare. I'm coming because I read that you were wanting to clear up the front of the train station and clean out all the greenery there.
Actually, that wasn't, we didn't want to do that. That was the the MTA wanted to do
I
that.
spoke to the manager at great length of the Long Beach, and they said that Long Beach was supposed to be taking care of all the landscaping there. Over a year ago, you said you were taking care of it. I'm just quoting what he said. And it hasn't been done. And now I understand there are junkies that go behind the bushes, and you have all kinds of loitering. There's lots of people hanging out inside the train station. Who he said were a lot of the Long Beach people that were hanging out there, the workers of Long Beach. But the outside, over 300 people responded in favor of keeping it green. It was on your post, and I reposted it. And we should keep it green, because I grew up here in Long Beach. I remember going to that train station. I remember how, it really looks nice. All you have to do is raise the branches, clear out the back, make it visible to the back wall, and spend a little money on that. Now they've bought pavers because you wanted it paved over. Take those pavers and put them someplace else. Whatever that expense is, return them or use them somewhere else, but keep it green. I mean, I offered to do my help. I was very involved in where I came from before I came back to Long Beach. And I have a lot of experience with landscaping and gardening. I was Parks Commissioner of the community I lived in. And so it really behoove you to keep it green and not take it all out. You have beautiful plants there. The other thing is, excuse me, the grates in the malls, in the parking malls. You've just put out new bricks, and you have mulch on all of those malls. When people are walking on the sidewalk from their car to go down towards a crosswalk, like I'm talking about East End, where there's a crosswalk, you walk down, there's You know, you try to go there. You have to walk across all of that, you know, mulch. And it gets kicked in, it gets dirty. Why can't you put grates down over it? Like they have all over Manhattan and other communities. They're attractive looking, and you can walk on them. Because people don't want to walk on that when it's wet and muddy. So what do? They walk on the edge, or they walk in the street, or they walk in between all the cars in the malls to get to the crosswalk. But if you had grates over it and raised the branches on there so you can walk, then people wouldn't be walking in the street, and it would be safer. It would be a safer place to walk. And I offer my assistance with any kind of landscaping things in front of the train station. It's too pretty to take it out.
Thank you, I agree.
You can't put back 25-year-old and more. You can't replace that.
I agree.
Okay, thank you.
Amy, question. You said you spoke to the manager, and he said that the city was doing it?
He said the city
Dan,
said
that's
that
not
they are responsible for the landscaping. I spoke to the manager.
Right.
At
I
great
just,
length.
yeah, I'm just trying to get the story
Yes.
straight. And
He
then,
said the
So I
city was-
believe the previous police commissioner had requested that some of that be pulled for what I would call rodent control. We had talked to MTA and had them agree not to brick over that area. So they are looking at new designs and coming back to us with ideas of what can be replanted. Some of that the low-lying shrubs will come up, but they'll plant other trees and other types of plants in that area to help it.
There's smoke bushes there, there's beautiful trees in there. Just raise the level of the branches.
Yeah, the trees and everything would stay. It's the low-lying,
back wall.
it's the low-lying stuff that covers the actual, that will come up and likely be replaced with more trees, but it will stay green.
Why
MTA has
plant
told
more
us.
trees if that's the problem? They're going to get
It's not the trees that are the problem, it's the low-lying bushes that stay close to the ground.
All the
Yes.
junipers there, and they're fine.
so what I'm just trying to establish, is that our decision or their decision?
It's their decision. I think it was requested by your previous police
That's
commissioner.
not what he said.
That's not what he...
We have not requested anything to be removed there, so I could tell you that for a
He said
fact.
Long Beach said they were going to take care of the front of the train station.
And you're saying that...
That never happened, not with me.
All right.
Definitely not.
Okay, well, are you new to the,
Yeah, it just came in January.
okay, well,
So I can't speak for what happened before I was here, but I could tell you we have not agreed to take control of that building. I know we used to have a lease with them that expired, I believe, 5 years ago, where we would maintain the building, including the roof, and I would see no reason to re-sign that, and that there's no benefit to Long Beach to do that.
well, from what he said, part of the taxi building is going to now have MTA police in it, in the left-hand side of it.
So there is a request to, for the MTA to take over that taxi stand as well, to put in an MTA turnout station, as well as have us on when you're facing it, the left-hand side for selling
The
beach
left-hand
passes.
side.
Yes, and then the rest of it be MTA police.
Right, and there's going to be a booth in there, you can also buy your tickets.
Yes.
Right, so we had a very lengthy conversation, and he absolutely said that Long Beach was supposed to take care of it, so.
Well, we're
if
not.
it hasn't.
He hasn't had
Thank
that
you very
conversation
much.
with me yet.
Nathaniel Epstein?
Good evening, council.
Good evening.
While we argue over $7,000 for a public trolley, we pay $15 million a year for a bloated and brutal police force. That is more than double our fire, lifeguard, and recreation budgets combined. Imagine we spent that money on public spaces where citizens could spend time together without necessarily drinking or smoking. Imagine the infrastructure we could build with $15 million. Public spaces, public housing, better roads, better transportation, improvements to the rec center, funding for the MLK Center, harm reduction facilities, composting, and on. And instead, we pay an interim city manager cop more than the governor. And what do we get for our money? Young girls slammed headfirst into the pavement and bystanders arrested for speaking out. Years ago, as I was leaving the Long Beach Black Lives Matter protest on my bike, a man in a pickup followed me. He stopped at a green light on Long Beach Boulevard as I was about to cross it. I stopped, waved him on, and waited, but he wouldn't go. When I got my green, he accelerated and stopped inches short of me, then threatened me. So when people say they back the blue for keeping us safe, I say bullshit. many of those same people would gladly commit violence against members of this community for the color of their skin, for their economic status, and their political beliefs. Okay. And many of those same people will talk about the good old days when they used to do crazy shit. What a lot of those hypocrites don't realize is that we're all more alike than the people. Sorry, those are the last curses.
I mean, we have children in the room, I believe.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think I chose those words deliberately, but I recall my time. What those hypocrites don't realize is that we're all more alike than the people cops in this country exist to protect. Our differences in net worth are pennies for those who benefit the most from preserving the status quo. Around the country, I see college students brutalized by police or by counter-protesters without police interference for speaking out against a genocide. I watched people brutalized in Lower Manhattan at those Black Lives Matter protests. This brutality is becoming normalized, but has always existed in Long Beach to some extent. Only now it's viral, and the city and the PD must answer for it. Thank you.
Christina Kramer.
Hi, can you pass this over to me?
Thank you.
So my statement I already prepared before I had that little moment with Mr. DeCranis, but for the people in the room, there's a lot of newcomers, and I think it would be instrumental for them to hear about it. So once again, I'd like to remind you that New Jersey has taken steps to protect their community by creating a resolution. Mr. DeCranis, I'm hoping these are the measures that you're speaking of. We at Protect Our Coast understand this is not a foolproof protection, but it definitely sends a message to our government officials that we do not want this running through our community or embarking on our shores. We need to continue to make it difficult for these projects to take off, as you stated before. I didn't see any of you at the Propel New York presentation. I understand there was a meeting with legislator Patrick Mullaney, and that we've determined the obvious, which is that Propel New York is building infrastructure for Empire 2 and other offshore companies. This will make it easier for companies to go right to the construction phases following their Article 7 settlement proceedings. As you know, the infrastructure needs to be in place prior to any ocean industrialization. Of course, they're denying this, but any second grader can make the connection that they're looking to install 345,000 watt conduits all over Long Island for no reason other than to take in renewable energies. Because of Propel, communities on the North Shore are starting to wake up and reaching out to us for help and guidance on how to gain the support of their elected officials. Why? Because another company called Jupiter is looking to build lithium battery storage plants right in front of residential areas. These storage plants are toxic and dangerous. Island Park's Barrett Power Plant is also slated for a lithium battery storage plant. We are actively supporting and taking them through their first steps. In addition, they are looking to install miles of high voltage cancer-causing cables all over Long Island, just feet from residential homes. I share this with you because I want you all to know that you can be a leader in the communities of Long Island where people look to you for guidance should you take the steps to protect our community the way it needs and deserves to be protected. What woke them up is something very similar to my personal story. Propel New York wants to install 345,000 volts of high voltage electricity surrounding 3 sides of homes in Glenwood Landing, just the same as they want to do around my house on Lincoln and Broadway. Do you know that when they bury those cables, if you are incidentally standing above them on the street where they are buried, you'll be exposed to 200 milligauss of cancer-causing EMFs, and it's cumulative, and they won't be marked off. If you happen to walk your dog or your children to school along a buried cable route, you would never know it. These routes will not be labeled. You can find the complete Propel New York presentation with their statements about the 200 milligauss that will be you'll be exposed to. I can send it to you. It's on our Facebook page. Anyway, there's a little bit more, but I just want to say that our group is looking very much forward to working with all of you to keep this out of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, tag team.
Hi, Tim Kramer, 361 East Broadway. First of all, I want to apologize to Mr. DeCranis for not properly welcoming him. Honestly, the beep, beep, beep freaks me out, so I'm always in a hurry, it seems. So getting on with it, roughly 2 months ago, I counted 27 out of 127 vacant storefronts from Long Beach Road to Magnolia Boulevard. Last night I did the same thing, and there's 25 now. So a small improvement, but let's keep in mind that it's June 1st. So my concern is, what is this going to look like on November 1st? So that's and something to note. There was more on the north side than on the south side, which is pretty incredible, taking into consideration that you have the post office, the library, of course, City Hall here, and 185 West Park, the condominium. So there's 15 vacancies on the north side and 10 on the south. Again, I attribute a lot of this to the Stop and Shop situation. We possibly could be losing a grocery store. Stop and Shop has mentioned that in the news. I think this is a perfect time to approach Mr. Gumowitz and try and pull that lease or renegotiate or put this guy in a headlock or something. So, okay, moving on with the budget. The number that stuck out with me the most is the 16.58% to service our debt. I probably don't have it available, and that's fine. I would like to see if there's a trend line going forward. You know, what our projected debt is going to be going forward in years to come. In my mind, to service our debt, our goal should be 1.5%. And at 16.58 or $17.5 million, it's line item number 1 on our expense sheet, and it exceeds our police budget, which is really hard to believe. And I would also note that there is not a household in this community, not one, that if you had 16.5% of your net income servicing your debt, you're calling your attorney and filing for bankruptcy, okay? So we have some issues here in Long Beach. Our geographical footprint is not increasing. Mr. Hodge says it all the time, New York to Maple, Beach to Bay, okay? We're not getting any bigger. Our population seems to stay around 35,000 regardless of, you know, decades past. Our only direction is up, straight up, you know, height. That's our only way to increase our, you know, our revenue, okay, as a city. We don't have a Roosevelt Field like Garden City. We don't have an industrial park like Farmingdale. We're kind of boxed in this community. And just I'll finish up. If you look back on previous budgets, they increase every year. Wages go up, insurances go up, equipment, all the stuff you're seeing here tonight. It's very expensive. I'm uberly concerned about this debt. It's got to get handled, and I would argue it would have been smarter, in my opinion, to have a small increase in the budget, a 1.5% increase in the budget that was dedicated to paying down the debt. That's my opinion. But to see some sort of trend line, a projected trend line going forward with our city debt would be important, I think. Thank you.
Thank you. Reverend Ron McHenry.
No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. Put your hands together for coming out, North Park community. We're in the building. Put your hands together for you. Make some noise. You're showing up for justice. There was a gentleman before me that came up and he was speaking about the incident. And as he was speaking about an incident that occurred this weekend, there was a councilman that decided to speak up. And so this is what I want you to do. As I'm speaking, I want you to speak up. And I want you to speak up for justice, for what happened to Varisha Wilson and her mother this past Friday. So this past Friday, not sure if you know, it's all over the internet, there were a group of teenagers outside of Stop and Shop. And during whatever was happening, Wilson was slammed. She was picked up by an officer and slammed on her neck. Looked like a move from the WWF. And she is 112 pounds. Now, I don't know what happened, but I know that my mother taught me if any man puts his hand on a woman, let alone a girl, he is not a man at all. She said she would teach me that he's something like a dog. And it does not matter if the man is in a blue uniform. It doesn't matter if the crime was perpetrated by a white man, a black man, or a brown man. This girl was picked up and slammed. And then her mother tried to get the officer off her daughter who slammed her. And then she was arrested because of her reaction. And what is sad is I have yet to hear the council speak up about this. The silence is deafening. And the situation is nauseating. How we can watch a grown man pick up a girl and slam her on her head, and all of these grown men sit there silently. Some of you I know personally. Some of you have daughters at home. Would you be silent if your daughter was slammed on her head by someone, especially who was sworn in to protect and serve? And it is always mind-boggling to me how people that we pay through our taxes do not protect us, but put us in jeopardy. As I'm talking to her, her back hurts, her neck hurts, her emotions are hurt. People that are supposed to protect her have harmed her and her mother. Where is the police commissioner speaking out about this? We want an external and internal investigation. We don't want to be a community that is aligned with girls being beaten down on a sidewalk. We need you to stand with the community because that's why you were put in place. And if you can't stand with us, we'll find somebody else. We need you to do what is right. We are calling for an investigation. No justice. No justice. No justice.
I appreciate your comments. I'm going to ask the police commissioner to step up and say a few words about this. It is under investigation, but the police commissioner can give a more detailed explanation.
Can I say something? Okay. Listen, we appreciate your comments. And nobody wants to see what you described. Nobody wants to see that. Now, I don't know what happened. And let me...
Excuse me. I want to ask everybody...
Ladies and gentlemen.
Let's try to keep this into a civil conversation, and then we can solve problems. We won't solve... Please listen to me, ma'am. We can't solve problems by shouting at each other. We can solve problems by talking and listening, but we can't solve problems by shouting and screaming. So people can come up, it's good and welfare. Our police commissioner is going to make a short statement about it. But please, ma'am, please, we only use the podium to speak. Thank you very much.
There was an incident on Friday night. Yes. 2 young ladies and their mother were arrested over by Stop and Shop. Another individual was taken into custody, juvenile. There was a viral video out there depicting the arrest. It was brought to our attention. Some comments were made that people were unappreciative of what happened. We are doing an internal investigation. That is happening right now, so I can't discuss the specifics of it. Also, all the information was sent to the Nassau County District Attorney's Office. They have all the information, and they have the videos. And correct, there was a video. That video was turned over to the Nassau County District Attorney's Office and is being investigated. We are doing an internal investigation ourselves. We are investigating ourselves, yes. And also, the Nassau County District Attorney's Office does have all the video and is looking into it as well. So there is an outside agency looking into it. The District Attorney's Office.
Thank you, Commissioner DePalma. I appreciate your comments. We are following every step of the investigative process. We're following every step of the investigative process. That's how it works. James Hodge.
Basically, I was saying we can't discuss this because it is an open investigation. We have to get all the facts. We can't, I ask everybody to be patient and wait until the investigation is complete, until we gather all the information, gather all the evidence, and this way, I understand that. And I do appreciate your concern. I do appreciate your concern. And like I said, we have the podium as a means to communicate with everyone in the crowd. As I said before, we can discuss, we can talk, we can listen, but shouting and screaming, that's not the way to solve this problem.
No justice! No justice! I reclaim my time, James Hodge. I come here on behalf of a young lady who only weighs about 100 pounds. It came upon a time on Friday where she got a call that her young sister that is known for praying for everybody was being bullied and harassed. She went to see what was going on with her mother and then got into a situation where she was being pulled this way and pulled that way. And from the video, it doesn't matter if the cop had an impeccable career or not. We see the video where, as I was a wrestler, and I know that she was picked up from the ground weighing about 100 pounds and slammed to her face. And something called fencing, when you have blood trauma, you freeze and it hits your brain. If you look at the video, you see it. It makes me cringe to know that a young girl had to go through this and her mother screaming out and her sister screaming out. Please, please, why? Why should this happen? I'm asking for an independent investigation. I'm asking that we always talk about, we get mad. I know that the chairman of the board is a former detective. I know Judge DeCram is a former detective. We have assistant city manager, the former police commissioner. All of you, I know you have a lot of years of history. Let this not be the same as we saw all over the country. I know that some may have said that Eric Gardner was a scumbag. I'm talking to you because it was on your Facebook. It said George Floyd was no good, and some of them created their own tragedy. But this is somebody here in our city. We won't stand for this. I don't care what color you are, from Black Keith Road to Maple, to Nevada, from the Bay to the ocean. I'm going to be at this podium to speak up. I want you guys to do more than just say, I sent this out for investigation. You can do your own internal investigation, just like officers around the country are suspended or fired and whatever happened, whether it's light duty, whatever. You can make some decisions on your own. Look at the video again. I cringe because that was me dealing with Officer Fowles and Williams being tragically punched in the face in police brutality here in Long Beach. My mother screamed from the door. And so I don't just talk about this just to talk about it. I experienced this. So to see this young lady have to deal with this trauma every day, she will deal with this for the rest of her life because she called. I know my time is out. She told the police officer, this is what's going on. They're bullying my sister, and nothing happened. And then to be slammed to her face, look at the video again. You will see her pass out. I'm asking this city, if you don't do something, this is just round one.
James.
But it goes higher and higher. We're demanding justice. We're demanding that you take action and not wait for outside to make the decisions when you know, because you've been there, you've done it, and so I'm asking you.
James, I assure you that we will take, as I said already, I'm going to say it again, we will take every step possible in this process to investigate it.
Listen, I am saying to you, this community and the city, they're upset. If you want to wait and you want to see the results for inaction, I promise you, you will. Don't go with the inaction. I'm telling you. We have come here to speak. It's Friday all the way to today. We have over 100 years of experience. You was an officer, our new corporation counsel. We have people that's been there, that's done this.
We are taking
see it.
every step.
So let the steps be leaps, because we want justice. No peace, you won't have peace if we don't get justice. No justice, no justice, no justice. And so what I'm saying is, please, to this administration and this council, if you don't want to see people here closing down our streets to get action, I'm demanding action. And the people here are demanding action. The family is hurting. The sisters and brothers are hurting. They're traumatized. You don't understand. Don't tell me you understand. You were not that girl that was slammed on your face. So don't tell me you understand. You hear what I'm saying, but you don't understand. Too many times people say they understand. You don't understand. And I'm telling you, I experienced it in front of my mother. Look at the record. This girl is hurting. I'm asking you, President. I'm asking you, Corporation Counsel. Please make something happen as soon as possible. It doesn't matter if he was a great officer. It's the incident that happened. Please, City Council, do something now. I am asking you now.
Thank you, James. Thank you very much. Jackie Odom. Jackie Odom. Okay. Not here. Mindy Goldberg. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Appreciate you all coming out. Thank you.